Hello and welcome to the Dick and Carey podcast. Dick and Carey develop a systematic view of instruction. By doing so, it causes the instructional designer to focus on what the learner should know and what they should be able to do upon finishing the course from the get-go. This approach also recognizes that all the components are connected and that a system should be replicable reliably. There are 9 stages in this model and we're going to explore each of them in detail. Let's start with stage number 1, instructional goal. The first thing a designer needs to identify is what the students need to learn. So they need to do a needs analysis by which they would uncover the discrepancy between what the students currently know and what they should know. A thorough instructional goal should include the learners, what they'll be able to do post-instruction, and the context in which the skills will be used. Secondly, let's review stage number 2, instructional analysis. What skills do students actually need to learn? What do you plan on teaching them? So for example, let's say they need to learn how to use a new dental practice management software. What are the steps and skills used at each step? Do they need to learn basic dental terms and procedures in order to schedule appointments, receive payments, in addition to learning how to perform those tasks in a new software? Stage number 3, entry behavior and learner characteristics. So let's take the previous example of learning a new dental practice management software. When the designer is working on the curriculum, they need to understand who their target population is. Do they have any background knowledge in the field? What is their motivation for learning? Do they just want to learn new skills, or do they have to learn to be able to do their jobs on a daily basis? How do these learners usually learn best? Would they need more hands-on practices, more or less help from instructors? They also need to take into consideration the educational level of the group in order to create content that is easily understood and processed. Next, we look at stage 4, performance objectives. A designer will need to create specific goals and objectives for the lesson that translate into what the students would be able to do post-instruction. A performance objective should be written in 3 parts: conditions, behavior, and criteria. So back to our example from earlier. A patient needs to schedule a return appointment. That's your condition. The instruction says open your scheduled module. This is the behavior. Identify the best day and time with sufficient resources and schedule an appointment for the patient. This is the criteria. Scheduling of appointment containing correct date and time, correct clinicians and procedures will be considered successful achievement of goal. During stage 5, we look at criterion referenced test items. How will we measure the learner's progress? Will they need to complete a test, or will they need to perform the tasks under the observation of a teacher to determine efficacy of instructions? Now that we understand why we would create an instructional program, who the learners are, what they already know, and what they'll need to learn, and how we will prove that they actually retained the information presented, we can move on to actually outlining the instructional activities. This is addressed during stage 6, instructional strategy. Are we going to include lectures, how-to videos, real-world task simulations? At this stage, we'll need to determine all the different types of activities that will be used to achieve performance objectives. Next, we look at stage 7, instructional materials. If we determined in the previous stage that we needed to use how-to videos during instruction, we now need to go about producing these videos. At this stage, we would actually create the materials or media needed for the course. We would also want to determine the roles of instructors and materials they would need in order to present the course. So now we're ready to implement the course, right? But wouldn't it be better to run a pilot class and work out the kinks, if you will, before releasing the course to the target audience? Testing the entire course with a small audience allows for collection of data and feedback that can be used for immediate revision and improvement. And this is what it's done during stage 8, formative evaluation. Finally, we're able to actually put the course into real use, but we need to make sure it's effective at accomplishing the instructional goal we proposed during stage 1. Therefore, during this final 9th stage, we perform summative evaluation. That is, we revise and revisit previous stages as needed until the product satisfies all stakeholders. Now, in my opinion, the Dick and Carey model would work really well for a major first project. It's a perfect systematic approach to make sure that you cross all your T's and dot all your I's. However, personally, I think I would be more inclined to using the ADDIE model on a daily basis, as it seems a little more versatile to me.